Mr. President, the new year begins, and it brings with us new challenges, new opportunities, and new faces to the 116th Congress. I want to welcome the 9 freshman senators, Senator Blackburn of Tennessee, Mike Braun of Indiana, Senator Kramer of North Dakota, Josh Hawley of Missouri, Martha McSally of Arizona, Mitt Romney of Utah, Jackie Rosen of Nevada, Rick Scott of Florida, and Kirsten Sinema from Arizona. Their talent, their hard work brought them all here. And now we have an expanded Senate Republican majority, a majority to build on the progress that we made in the 115th Congress. Albeit we're still short of the 60 votes needed to pass most pieces of legislation, we have a group of people committed to the values of our party and our country and working together to find solutions for the nation. Mr. President, during the swearing in last week, as I was sworn into to the Senate, my 96-year-old mother joined us, and she attended it, enjoyed it, and watches the opening every day for the Pledge of Allegiance and for the prayer from Reverend Black, and looks to that as a sign of our nation moving forward. You know, from the time I was a little boy, she would always say, "This is the most important year of your life." She started when I was very young, and I think that her lesson remains today. For me and for all of us, this is the most important year of our lives, for ourselves, for our nation, for the world. And she would say, what you do this year makes a big difference for the future, so make sure you do it right. Well, we're now at a point of divided government. The Democrats controlling the House, the Republicans the Senate, and we need to work together and do it right on behalf of the American people. I think we have some immediate tasks. One is to secure the southern border, and the other is to fund the government. Now, these goals aren't mutually exclusive. We can and we must do both, and the key to breaking the current impasse is for both parties to work together. President Trump, I believe, is absolutely right to insist on border wall funding. I think he's right to insist on it before agreeing to sign spending legislation to end the shutdown, and he spoke passionately and I thought convincingly about it last evening. If the southern border were a patient, and I practiced medicine for 24 years in Wyoming, if the southern border were a patient admitted to the hospital, it would be listed in critical condition. All Americans want a healthy immigration system that secures the border, that enforces the law, and that keeps families together. The problem, of course, is the rise in illegal entrants, terrorists, drug smugglers, human traffickers, the Mexican drug cartel, all exploiting our porous border with Mexico. The Customs and Border Protection Commissioner has called the situation, quote, border security and humanitarian crisis. That's what we're dealing with, a border security and humanitarian crisis. So here are the numbers from the Department of Homeland Security. Currently, 16,000 Border Patrol agents and 8,100 military troops guard the southern border. The National Guard has been deployed there continuously since 2006. Still, illegal border crossings increased dramatically from 2017 to 2018. In this past year, the year just ended, 396,000 people were stopped at the border, including 3,700 suspected terrorists, 800 gang members. Of the border's 1,950 miles, a physical barrier today protects about 650 miles. Border Patrol areas with enhanced or expanded barriers have been successful. They have seen a 90% decrease in illegal traffic. That's why the President wants to proceed with additional barriers, physical barriers, to protect the border. Well, look, there's a huge improvement due to the wall. Clearly, walls work. Barriers work. So I ask, why is Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, prolonging the shutdown by denying critical funding? Well, she has called the wall immoral. I would say what's immoral is refusing to provide for the safety and the security of the American people by providing border security. Border security policymaking has always been bipartisan, but not now, it seems. The Pelosi plan to end the partial shutdown isn't serious policy. It's political posturing. And as I say, partial government shutdown because 75% of the government continues to be funded. The Speaker's proposal includes billions in wasteful spending while ignoring the crisis at the border. The President has promised to veto what she is proposing, but instead of negotiating, the Speaker is basically play acting. Mr. President, what's needed is an agreement between the President, the Democratic leaders in the House and the Senate that can pass the House, secure at least 60 votes in the Senate, and then be signed into law. As President Trump said in January 4th letter to Congress, a nation that fails to control its borders cannot fulfill its basic obligations to its citizens: physical safety, economic safety, essential public services, and the uniform protection of our laws. Mr. President, we cannot afford to play politics with the border. I think that we should listen to the advice that my mother continues to give me, that this is the most important year of your life. It's important for this body, for this institution, and for this nation. Let's start 2019 and do it in the right way by passing common sense legislation that does secure the border, that does reopen the government, and that protects the American people. Let's work together to make this the most important year, the start of a better future for all Americans. Mr. President, I yield the floor, suggest the absence of a quorum.